Okay, as usual, you're walking into the U show with the show at the studio. That was a look inside the studio. Here's the name of our show. And in a couple of weeks or so, we're going to be producing a show called Books and Music Review. Meanwhile, there's a disclaimer. And this is where we're produced. There you go. So now we're going to head into the studio. We're taping this in 2017 in New York City, parts of New York City. So what's today's show going to be about? Strange as this seems, I don't have too much to talk about. Actually, the truth is, I have a lot to talk about, but I'm still debating about whether I want to say it on air or not. So, be with me while I pause for a moment to think about what would I like to say on air? What can I say on air? What should I say on air? And what shouldn't I say on air? First thing I want to do is set that timer. Got about less than a minute talking. Let's go. There you go. Timer set. So, you're at the U show. We just have to add about 2 minutes to the end of this tape. And that'll be fine. I want to talk about producing television shows. And when I say producing television shows, I'm talking about producing a show for a community access community, for something like BCAT or Brooklyn Community Access, or something like Staten Island Community Access. One of the public access shows, or I don't even know if I can say that, let's say community television. So I want to talk about producing a show for community television. Silly as this is, and I know it doesn't look it, but I've been producing television shows for community television since the year 2000, when I started training in another part of the city, and then started specials. Well, we called specials. What a special is, you would put that on air, but you really weren't sure exactly when it was going to be on air. You didn't have a time slot or anything like that. And then you would have series. Now, in a series, you would know when your airtime is. Usually, it's pretty much guaranteed to be at the airtime. Like in this particular case, the show is airing 12:30 on Saturdays in the afternoon. It's a daytime show. So I've been doing it for a long time. And over the years, and it's been like, 15, 16 years or so that I produced television. Over the years, the show has changed a lot, many, many different times. And it's about to take another change also. So over the years, the name of the show has changed. It started out as Superbooks. And at that time, I was doing a lot of book reviews and interviewed authors of books. In fact, we had a local author. There's a local author, Linda Aloni, who lives in Staten Island, who wrote a book about the experiences that her son had and what she had, her experiences, true story. And that book is probably in some of the libraries. It's called Living Scared. And at the time, we did other authors. We showed photographs and we showed clips of other authors speaking. Many years passed, and we did a really good show about Carla. Carla was one of the Master Chefs. And but as I was saying, the show has changed over the years. I came in as a beginner in the year 2000, and as I got experience, I began to produce shows in the larger studio in another city, and we would have about 6 or 7 producers, and I would choose a producer for camera, for lights, for technical director, for director, and we would all work together and have a fun, really fun time in the studio. Did that for a number of years. And it was a fun experience, a good experience, and it was, it was a lot of like I say, the show has changed over the years. You can probably see some of the older shows on the YouTube channel. And if you go to the YouTube channel of Email Linda, you will see some of the YouTube shows going way back to the year 2000. And then in 2006, actually, was it before 2006, we got a monthly show at another city. And that was on a monthly basis or bi-monthly basis. And then later it came to the Staten Island Community Television. The difference in the shows and the difference in the qualities of the show and the difference in what was happening on the show kind of really reflected the difference that was happening in my life. And what I mean was I started out doing shows a certain way and having a lot of producers involved in the show. We had many producers working in the studio. If you go to Flickr and you go to some of my photography sites, you'll see where we have pictures of the other producers and the crew. Wonderful crew who's used to help. And then all of a sudden, among other life happenings, there was this other big thing. There was a car accident, and I was injured by that car accident. And that really did something to me. So that I was not able to produce shows at the quality that I'd originally started doing them at. I was not able to work with a whole lot of producers to do a show. And I was not able to do kind of shows the way I like to do them. And from that car accident, I was recuperating for many, many years. Yeah, at some point I was walking around, and other points it was, but inside of my brain, what was happening is the show changed. It really did change. I began doing the show alone. At the first point, after the accident, I didn't do shows for a while. The interesting part was I'm a big believer in positive thinking, so I insisted on thinking positive, and I insisted on positive affirmations, even though I was in a lot of pain. At the time, I had hurt my head and my neck and my shoulder. I couldn't turn my head. It was like if I had to turn my head, I had to turn my whole body like that. At the time, I could not turn just my head, my neck, without having a very, very severe, a lot of pain. And it was like for about 2 years at that point, I still couldn't turn my head. Of course, I didn't tell anybody. And then one day I was in the car and I was driving. And all of a sudden, I forgot, and the injury did that to me. It made me a little bit forgetful at times. So all of a sudden, I'm driving, and all of a sudden, I forgot that I'm supposed to turn my whole body when I drive, when I'm looking at something on the side. And I yanked my head, just my head. I just yanked my head like that, really quick. And I was like, oh my goodness, what a pain I got in my neck. And for a split second, I said a quick prayer to God. And I'm like, oh, dear God, please let me not have broken my neck. Please. I don't know what I did, but I knew that was a big pain, and I heard like a crack. And so I turned my head around, and all of a sudden, the pain was gone. Like this pain that I had for over 2 years, the pain was gone, just gone. And I was like, wow, now I know what chiropractors do. I can understand it. I was like, I can see how chiropractic can work. Because that was like I guess, I'm not saying it's the same, but basically it was like when I zipped my head around real quick, I apparently popped something back into wherever it was not supposed to be out of. And all that pain was gone. All of a sudden, I was able to move my head. I was able to turn my head in all directions. And that was great. And that was just part of my recovering from the car accident. And meanwhile, I had not been able to go to a studio to do shows, but yet I never stopped producing the shows because I said to myself, you know what? I kept saying to myself, like next week I'll call up and I'll arrange and I'll go to the studio. And I did that 1 week, and the next week I said I'll call up, and I kept saying to myself, I'll call up and arrange to do the shows because I've been doing them for so many years in the other city. And then I said, you know what? Oh, at this point I had already taken the classes in Staten Island again. And all of a sudden I thought, I'm going to be saying this forever and I'm never going to do a show. And I said, you know what? I'm just going to have to do a show. So what I did was I took a tripod and I took that out into someone's backyard and set up the tripod and set up a lawn chair and set up this little camera, and I produced a television show. Yes, in the field, unscheduled, unrehearsed, just on a whim, because I was tired of waiting and tired of waiting for the day that I would be able to do something, and I decided that I was going to do that today. Today, I was going to produce the TV show. And I did that show that might be on YouTube. I don't know. It might be. Sometimes it's private. Sometimes it's public. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. You might see different shows. So I produced a show. And I still didn't air it. And then I produced another show and another show. And I just made it my business to just produce shows. And in one show I talked about funerals and how people remember people. In another show I talked about books and inspiration. And another show I talked about writing. And I tried to encourage writers to write. And other shows I talk about hope. And other shows I talked about birds and feeding the birds and all. And finally I decided, okay, bring those shows and have them aired. And so I took another step and another step and another step as I'm stepping here. Why am I stepping here? Because it's really boring to watch somebody just stand still on television. It's like, okay, so I'll stand here, be perfectly still, blah, blah, blah. So I'm putting in a little action. Put a little action in the show, do a little step. I'm going to start dancing. I hope you dance. I hope during your life that you dance, and I don't mean that literally, but if you want to dance, yes, I mean that literally. What I mean is I hope that during your life you do what you want to do. Like the song, the 60s song. Do what you want to do, go where you want to go. You know, that one, Mama Cass, the whole thing. I hope that you do something that you want to do and stop putting it off till tomorrow. I hope that you just do it. If you can't do it perfectly, and if you can't do it up to standard, just do it. Take one step. Do it. And stop putting it off, because once you start doing something, and once you take that one step, things will get easier. It'll be easier to do, and eventually you reach your goal, which was my goal, was to have a series. So, yes, I produce a series. So, there's 17 minutes and 57 seconds left, and I have nothing to say. And that's another good thing about being a talker. You can sit here and have nothing to say and still say something. It was like that song that's like, say anything. I don't know what I started on the topic. I couldn't tell you what I started talking about. The topic was about producing TV shows. So now I'm going to talk about talk two. I addressed this to the people in charge, whoever the people in charge are. I'm going to tell you how it will be easier for people with disabilities or people who, have a hard time doing things. Ta-da! Water. I'm going to tell you how it would be easier for us to produce shows. Because the truth is, a lot of times I don't ask a guest to come to the show because I don't have help in the studio. I have a very good access to a lot of different guests, whether they be singers or artists or authors. And I generally, a lot of times I don't ask people to come to the show because I know that I don't have help in the studio, in the control room. And once I start getting some regular help, I might start asking more people to the show. Meanwhile, we'll have a few people here and there. I have to put this down. See, I had someone here. I'd have someone come and take over while I cough, but hold on 1 second. I just got to get a drink of water. I'll be right back. Don't go away. So that's what happens. I had to do a little coughing. I had to step aside to get water. If we have people helping in the control room, that doesn't happen. You won't see a blank screen. You'll see somebody come on and take over, or you'll see, do some switching. We do have videos in there. We have pictures in there. And it'll be a whole different show. Without help in the studio, that's what you get. What you see is what you get. And generally, it doesn't happen when we have a guest. It's a little bit more organized. But that's what happens. Gonna put this down here. It's hot in here and dusty. I'm allergic to dust. That's why I cough sometimes. It's not a contagious cough. It's a kind of asthmatic COPD cough. It's very dusty. But anyway, back to producing shows. Okay. So, could use a little help producing the show. I do not need an artistic director. I don't need anybody telling me what to do. I just need somebody doing a little switching, a technical director or whatever, something like that. Beginner, experienced, somebody who's willing to work with me and let me have the show the way I want it. Yeah, so if I want to be this close to the camera, that's how I want to be. So, so there's the call out. We need help with the show. And sometimes when you have a disability, if you don't have a good memory and that's part of your disability, it's hard to remember things. Like if you need to put something on at the very beginning of the show, we have to have disclaimers. And that disclaimer should be on the beginning of the show. But suppose your disability prevents you from remembering to put it on at the beginning of the show. A lot of times I'll forget to start the timer. That's where it helps to get some, help. So, help! We need producers to help make this show a better show. And I'm really kind of happy, though, because when we did have a guest, we had the show went off okay. It was pretty cool. And if you want to see our guest shows, write to us at theyouShow@outlook.com. We'll send you the link. And if you want to set up to be a guest, yes, we're still accepting guest shows. Write to that same email. And yes, we do. We will talk to you by phone before you come to the studio. We just do not put the telephone number on air. We will be giving the phone number on air in the future, but just not at this particular time. So, producing shows. What else can I say about producing shows? A lot of times you can meet new producers by helping on other people's shows, which is good. Yeah, that's fair. You help on someone's show. But a lot of times what happens is you never know. Every producer is different. Everyone has a different life. People have different lifestyles, different schedules. Some people are retired and they're available at a certain time. Some people are working and they're not available while they're working. Some people go to school. Some people are injured. We've had producers who were injured, who would just about get enough muster to come in and do a show, and they weren't able to do extra shows or to help on other shows. But if you want to produce, be helpful on a show, and you want to help out on a show, for instance, if somebody wants to help me on the show, behind the scenes, in the control room, I might not be able to help out on their show if they're taping at a time when I'm not available. However, I can give you a different kind of help. I'm a very good researcher. I'm a good speaker in a pinch. I can do research for you. I can give you a lot of times people will search for things on the net on a particular topic, and they can search up the wazoo and they just can't find it. That's where I come in. You're looking for something, I probably can find it. So I can help in different ways. I can help by being an encourager, by being a positive person. I can help by giving you some ideas. Yes, I've given some good ideas in my time. So if you'd like to help and have some different help in return, that's fine too. If you'd like to help just because you are a helpful person and you don't expect anything in return, that's fine too. I'm open to suggestions when it comes to producing television. So, I'm a pretty good, I'm good at PowerPoint. Are you interested in PowerPoint? So, here's the call out. We need help for the show. We definitely need help for the show. Now, they might not like the show. I said a lot about producing community television. And even if they don't like it, it'll still air. But, it'll air here and there and wherever. But I'm assuming there's no censorship in community access television, so the show cannot be censored. And I'm assuming that all producers are treated the same way, whether they're new producers or old producers or producers who've been here for 20 years. And when I say assuming it, I don't actually mean I'm assuming. I'm putting it gently. Everybody knows what the rules are of cable TV, of community access television or community television. And that's basically one of the rules, is that the studios are set up and the studios are funded so that everyone has fair access. So if you're a community producer and you're producing TV shows here, it should be that you have fair access, correct? Yeah, I'm kind of rambling right now because truth is, I have to do one of those things again. I know some of my regular viewers are at this point, they're pulling their hair out. I'm like, is she going to do that again? Go off air. Yes. I'm going off air just for a moment. And hopefully you will stay right there. We'll do a few switches in there so to keep you busy, keep your attention. Maybe. I'll show you some of the other photography. There's not much in there, but I'll see what's in there on our pictures. But I must go get another drink of water. Please stay tuned. This is produced through the Community Access. And the good thing about Community Access is it's up to the producer, the executive producer, to put whatever they want to put on television. So technically, if I want to stand here with a blank microphone, technically, I should be able to do that. I'll be right back, but I don't want to. I just need to get water, and I'll be right back. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned. I have no schedule. I have nothing planned. I have no plan for this show. Just talking about producing community television. Let me remove these magazines because they're distracting me. I always wanted to sing God Bless America on television. I see everybody's running out of the room. So what the heck? What happens when you have no plan? I have no plan. I have no voice. I'm coughing. I'm in the middle of a mild asthma attack, producing a show. And there's no one else in the control room. So God bless America. God bless America, the land that I love. And I guess that brings us to another topic. Do you love America? I happen to love America. Yeah, our country, red, white, and blue, Star-Spangled Banner. I love America. Want to come on and do a patriotic show? How would you like to do that? Yes, I have the contact information for some veterans. I believe they're Marines. And I have not called them and I've not asked them to come to the show because, like I said, I don't have help doing the show. So when I start getting some regular help, I would like to. You know what? Marines are pretty capable people. Actually, now that I think about it, I'm thinking that I might contact those Marines and ask them to be guests on the show, even if I don't have help. Because it just dawned on me, like, I could have the Marines here, set up the whole table, and have the United States Marines here, and I could be doing the switching. Like, I could just stay in the control room, and I could put the titles on. And yes, that didn't occur to me till this moment. So maybe that's the key. Maybe the key is that I need to get off the air and I need to just sit my guests down. I have to have guests who are capable of being on air by themselves, who do not need me to be in front of the camera with them. Or what I could do is, we have done this for another show. I remember doing this once. We had the guest on air here, and I was off air, off camera, and I was able to speak with the guest. So that was all on air, but I was not physically on air. You didn't see me, but you did see the guests. So we've done that before. So I'm glad I talked about this because it's given me some good ideas. A lot of good ideas, some of which I'm not saying right now. So we got 3 minutes and 45 seconds left to go, or maybe 4 minutes or so. And I'm going to go outside and show you some more pictures. Stay tuned. Don't go anywhere. Opinions expressed on this show are not those of the staff or management of Staten Island Community Television, and everything's copyrighted. We taped this in parts of New York City, and we're produced through the facilities of Staten Island Community Television. Questions or comments, please do send us your email. So yeah, see, if I can do that, you can do that. That's all I need is somebody to go into the control room and switch those words right there. See, questions, comments. The U Show at Outlook.com. That's all I need to do a little switching. Very easy, very simple. I'm telling you, if I can do it, you could do it. Yeah. So write to me at that address. Write to me at that address so we can get this show going, get some, make some progress here. Maybe you want to help on some of our field shows, like we did this one in Pennsylvania. It was one of the powwows, and I do believe we have a tape of one of the powwows. Produced through the facilities of Staten Island Community Television. Be a guest on a show, contact us. Okay, so I'm going to head back in. Here's where our photography is. Also at Flickr.com under the name Art from Perry. You'll see many of our pictures. I'm going to go back into the studio right now. I'll leave that up on the screen. Help! Like, was it the Beatles that said, help, I need somebody. Not just anybody. You got to be a producer. So, I'll stand over here. How's that? Can you make that out better? There you go. I'm still on air and you can still see the words. So I'm taping this in March. And I hope that you see it many times in March and April.